What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports. And I probably just witnessed the worst end of season press conference in the history of end of season press conferences with Dave Dombrowski. I didn't even listen to the Rob Thompson portion because at that point I knew Rob was not going to say anything that was going to be worth my while. And it's funny because we said this fucking last year after they got eliminated by the New York Mets that was one of the worst postseason press conferences that we've ever heard of. I think this one probably tops it. It definitely tops it. I think Dave Dombrowski is fucking delusional. He has to be. There are literally no changes to the coaching staff. No, there is going to be a change to the coaching staff this year. There's one change. We're getting a new bench coach, boys. And even the old bench coach, he didn't get fired. He was being moved into a new position. That's going to breed confidence. So, as I close that because that was bothering me, Kevin Long's coming back. We knew Rob was coming back. That was a couple of days ago. And we didn't know whether it was going to be a lame duck season with Rob going into the final season of his contract or if he was going to get a contract extension. Well, Dave mentioned that Rob was going to get maybe a year added on to the contract at some point in the next few months. So Rob's going to get another year added on to his contract. So whoop-de-fucking-do. Caleb Cotham's coming back, which he was probably the only one on the coaching staff that I would have brought back because I had no issue with him because I thought he was actually doing his job with the pitching staff, turning a lot of pitchers into really good pitchers. Kevin Long needed to be fired. No, Kevin Long is coming back, so whoop-de-fucking-yeah, cool. And basically every single coach is coming back. No coach is getting fired. It's the same exact rinse-wash coaching staff that we've had for the past few seasons. And oh yeah, there's no philosophy changes. There's nothing there. Everything from that point and standpoint is going to be the same. Fun. Very fun. Very fun. It's not even to the other points of Dave Dombrowski during this press conference where it was a bunch of bullshit that he was saying. The only thing that was noteworthy of what he said the entire time that actually caught my eye, be like, oh wow. He was basically when one of the reporters were asking about the whole situation with Nick Castellanos and Rob Thompson during the season. It was, basically from the way that Dave Dombrowski answered the question, basically made it sound like Nick's not going to be back next year. That's the only way that it made it sound like. But everything else from Dave Dombrowski, it literally was just word garbage. Word garbage. How many times did Dave, during this press conference, mention about the Dodgers and their starting pitching being very good and him being afraid of the Dodgers starting pitching going into that NLDS? And, the Dodgers starting pitching, they're a really good team. The Dodgers, they're a really good team. They got a really good starting rotation. And their starting rotation, a lot of their guys, pitching, basically, I know this point I'm overly summarizing it and paraphrasing it, basically pitching their asses off, I guess you can say. But that's the entire justification of them losing. And really, the reasons and examples of why the Phillies lost in the NLDS in Dave Dombrowski's eyes was a matter of a mere few plays. Was Matt Strahm missing his location in Game 1 against Teoscar Hernandez, which led to a 3-run shot. Trey Turner missing, with a bad throw to home plate in Game 2, which, yes, that is a factor. That is definitely a factor in that game because he said the Dodgers wouldn't have scored a run in that inning if Trey Turner made a better throw to home plate, which is very, very reasonable there. That's the only thing I really agree with at that point. And then in Game 4, if Kerkering doesn't overthrow home plate and he makes the right decision to throw the first. I don't think he really says throw the first, but that's basically what it was. Those are the really only reasons why that the Phillies lost in the NLDS. Nothing else. No bad decisions with the bullpen to bring in David Robertson for a wraparound inning in the 7th, bringing him in, when you bring him in with 2 outs in the 6th, you bring him in for a wraparound in the 7th. Yeah, that didn't backfire, which, of course, I'm sneezing a bunch right now. Because I'm allergic to the I think I know why I'm sneezing so much. I'm allergic to the bullshit that Dave Dombrowski spit out of his mouth, basically. Everything that he was saying was something that was just going to be transferred into my body as I was very allergic to it, and I'm just releasing all of those allergies right now into this podcast with all those sneezes. It's insane. It's disgusting, but it's very insane. But no, the bunt in game 2 when Nick Castellanos brought in 2 runs to make it a 1-run game. You bunt with Bryson Stott to try to get Nick Castellanos over the third base, where you're basically playing into the Dodgers' hands, because that's what Dave Roberts said, because they were playing for the bunt because they thought that was their only chance to win the ball game, and you played right into their hands. No, apparently that wasn't a dumb decision. Bringing in David Robertson for the 7th inning was not a dumb decision. Apparently, not using Ranger Suarez in game 1 when you clearly should have wasn't a dumb reason. Your offense going cold once again was not the reason why you lost in the postseason once again. No, it was because of the Dodgers starting pitching, and their starting pitching was really good. Now, I'm not trying to take away anything from the Dodgers starting pitching, because Blake Snell pitched very good. He definitely did. I give Tyler Glasnow a tip of the cap. Yes, Shohei Ohtani did pitch well, but aren't you supposed to be a good team too? Aren't you supposed to be a team that is built to win a World Series? Can we stop using the fucking excuse of, oh, you went up against the Los Angeles Dodgers. You went up against the reigning World Series champions. Oh, it's not that big of a deal that you lost this series because you went up against a juggernaut like the Dodgers. Now, granted, I wasn't the biggest confidence going into the series whatsoever. I did say in my preview to the NLDS that the only way the Phillies would win that series is in 5 games, and if the Dodgers won that series, it would be in 4 games, because I thought the Phillies needed to win all of their home games in order to have a chance against the Dodgers, and that clearly was the case because they lost both of their home games. They weren't winning 2 games out in Los Angeles. I understand the caliber of team that the Dodgers are. That shouldn't make me diminish what the expectations that the Phillies put on themselves is. Because when you go into the playoffs, you have to face good teams. You have to face good pitching. You have to face elite pitching, might I add. You have to face very good lineups. And I would say, for that, only one aspect of that for the Phillies showed up, and that was your starting pitching, taking down a very good Los Angeles Dodgers starting lineup. Yes, the Dodgers' offensive statistics in that NLDS were worse than the Phillies. I think a lot of the Phillies' numbers offensively were a little bit elevated because of Game 3 and how much they scored runs in Game 3, and basically that was the only game where the offense truly showed up. That's why the Phillies' offensive numbers look slightly better than the Dodgers. Do I think the Phillies' offense was better than the Dodgers in the entirety of the series? No. No, I don't. Both offenses were equally as bad, because that's how good the starting pitching was on both sides. But that shouldn't make me take away blame from the Phillies offense, because if you were capable of doing what you did in Game 3, granted some of that you did against Clayton Kershaw, so you got to throw that into the mix as well. Basically a Clayton Kershaw on the last peg of his career who was going to retire after this season. So you do have to throw that into the conversation. But you were able to score runs off of Yamamoto. You were able to get to the Dodgers bullpen. Now, granted, the Dodgers weren't using a bulk of what they were trying to utilize in the first so many games of that series with putting starting rotation pitchers into the bullpen, like a Glasnow, like Sasaki, and all that stuff. You still couldn't touch Shohei Ohtani except for like 1 inning. You couldn't touch Blake Snell whatsoever. And you couldn't touch Tyler Glasnow in Game 4, and also when he came out of the bullpen. What am I supposed to take away blame for the Phillies just because the Dodgers starting rotation was just as good as the Phillies rotation? No. Because you have to hit good pitching. You have to hit good elite starting pitching in the postseason. And the Phillies haven't been able to hit pitching in general in the past 3 postseasons, going back to Game 6 of the NLCS, when you were up 3-2 with 2 games at home to win 1 game to go to the World Series against a lowly Arizona Diamondbacks team. And you choked that series away after going up 2-0 to where you made it look like that series was going to be a wash. And you allowed the Diamondbacks back into the series, but you still had a chance on home field to get the job done. Your offense went cold. And then you go into 2024, against a Mets team that you were clearly better than, and you let them run all over you. You let them run all over you. Your offense couldn't hit once again. And then you go into this series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yes, record-wise, you were better than the Dodgers. Record-wise, regular season-wise, you won the regular season series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. I get that. But once again, when the time mattered most, Rob Thompson and some poor decision-making and your offense going cold was the reason why you lost again. And Dave Dombrowski does not seem to realize that. That this offense, the way that this team is constructed, they're not built to win in the playoffs. They're just not. They're built to win 90-plus games in the regular season just because of their starting pitching staff alone. Their starting pitching staff alone will make them a good team. Now, I'm not trying to say the Phillies lineup is terrible or anything like that. The Phillies lineup, is, compared to the rest of Major League Baseball, is not terrible. There's a difference about being good and being built for playoff baseball. And this Phillies lineup is not built for playoff baseball. They just are not. They're not. When you have your stars of the lineup that go cold in key situations, and when your depth hitters can't step up and it can't be a different guy every single night. Now, I thought something was different after the trade deadline into that last second half of the season, into September, where it felt like there was a lot of different players stepping up every single night. Well, that clearly went away. And it went back to the same old, where your star players couldn't do anything, and then your depth players were clearly overmatched. It was clear as day. Clear as fucking day. I apologize for all the sneezing. But this press conference from Dave Dombrowski was just complete and utter bullshit. I do have a lot of the comments here. PHOY Phillies did do a good job of putting a lot of the comments from Dave Dombrowski throughout this press conference on here. So basically, we all know. The coaching staff is coming back. Every coach is coming back. We all know Rob Thompson is getting another year added onto the contract. So your coaching staff is going to be relatively the same, except for a new bench coach, which they said, oh, we're going to bring in a bench coach that has had some managerial experience in Major League Baseball. Oh, whoop-de-fucking-do. Oh, yeah, that's going to be the major difference in this coaching staff. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He also said that he can't put it on Kevin Long and the hitting coaches for how good the Dodgers pitching staff was in this series. He specifically pointed out Roki Sasaki moving to the closer role and throwing 100 out of the bullpen. That's sad. That is so fucking sad. And then when you're talking about the free agents and all that stuff, Dave Dombrowski says that it's impractical to bring all of them back, but you would love to have them all back, obviously with Schwarber, Ranger Suarez, JT Realmuto, Harrison Bader mixed in that fact now. So we don't know what the fuck's going to happen here. Dave Dombrowski loved talking about a lot of the young players in the organization that are going to fight for the roster next year, with a Justin Crawford, with an Aiden Miller, with an Andrew Painter. See where we're going here? And the one thing, too, here, with a lot of the questions that were asked, a lot of those weren't tough questions. Like, they really didn't challenge Dave Dombrowski. Like, I rarely saw or heard questions that were talking about this lineup going cold again. Like, really, I would say the only tough question that they asked Dave Dombrowski is, how the hell are you going to, Phillies fans have been very frustrated. I'm paraphrasing this question, obviously, from this one reporter said, because I don't remember the full extent of it, but I remember the summary of it, basically. So, obviously, it ties into Phillies fans' frustration, and going in the next season, how are you going to make Phillies fans believe in you again after so many losses in the postseason and basically not being able to win postseason games? What are they like? Going back to that Game 6 and 7 of the NLCS in 2020, they only have 2 wins. In their last so many postseason games. That's going back 2 seasons, or 3 seasons, actually. They only have 2 wins in the postseason. So how are fans supposed to believe again? Well, Dave Dombrowski said, because we're a good team. Because we're a good team. Because we're a good team. Oh, my God. He said that when Aiden Miller joins the club eventually, he's going to be an everyday player. Same thing with a guy like a Justin Crawford. How does Andrew Painter work into the rotation next year? Even though he says, I'm not going to guarantee spots to these players. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that these guys are going to have guaranteed spots coming into next season. My God. And here's the one comment about Nick Castellanos going into the final year of his contract and his relationship with Dave Dombrowski. I'm not going to get into specific players that are on our roster on their contract, but we'll see what happens. That's the only comment that really stood out to me. Like, okay, that probably means he's gone. And I think that's clearly obvious. They've been trying to trade Nick Castellanos for the past so many seasons, and they're going to trade him. That is completely obvious. That is nothing new. That is nothing that different that we haven't heard before. We all know that Nick Castellanos is going to be traded at some point this offseason, and it probably makes it easier that he's going into the final year of his contract. So, that's it. Here's one of his comments about potential of Justin Crawford making the jump to the big leagues. I don't know what else he really does at the minor league level at this point. So, you said that during the trade deadline, I believe. It was right before, I think it was after the trade deadline when he was talking about Justin Crawford and all that stuff, to where he said that if Justin Crawford came up, we wanted him to play every day, basically. We didn't want him to be a platoon player or anything like that. But also, what is the one constant, I guess, flaw of Justin Crawford's game that a lot of experts bring up, that a lot of scouts bring up? He doesn't lift the ball into the air. He doesn't lift the ball. He's a ground ball hitter. Now, granted, his numbers are his numbers. His numbers are very good down in the minor leagues. He hits over 300, like way over 300. He gets on base, and he steals bases. Now, granted, do the Phillies need a bat with pop in it? Yes. But is Justin Crawford going to be that guy? Probably not. But the one flaw in his game is he doesn't hit the ball in the air. He can't lift the ball. And it's definitely a major difference between AAA and Major League Baseball in terms of defenses and maybe some of those ground balls that he typically hits. Maybe they don't become hits in Major League Baseball compared to minor league baseball because the defenders in the infield probably aren't as good as Major League defenders in the infield or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what they do. He was talking about, maybe a Crawford in left field or something like that. So there was a lot of talk about Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter. And if those guys are going to be a factor into next season, are you truly a World Series caliber player when you have 3 rookies on your roster playing in meaningful time? I don't know. I don't know. And obviously, he says that bringing Kyle Schwarber back is a priority to us. This is also a thing that bothers me about because of all the rumors with this team and, talking about bringing back Kyle Schwarber and all that stuff. I saw reports out there that a lot of the talks about one of the things to get Kyle Schwarber back is to bring back Kevin Long. Kyle Schwarber, one of the main things that he wants when he resigns is Kevin Long to remain on the coaching staff. Why is everything so tied to fucking Kevin Long? Why is everything just, I'm not going to sign here unless Kevin Long is my hitting coach. I'm not going to play here unless Kevin Long is my hitting coach. If you don't bring back Kevin Long, it's probably going to be more difficult to bring back a guy like a Kyle Schwarber. And personally, I don't know if they're going to bring back Kyle Schwarber. I feel like at this point they're doing everything they possibly can to re-sign Kyle Schwarber, which also mends the fact that they brought back Kevin Long, which probably is a thing that Kyle Schwarber wanted. And also it's probably a thing that a lot of the players on this roster wanted was Kevin Long to remain on the team. Like guys like Bryce Harper, guys like Trey Turner, and blah, 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 so on and so forth. It is crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy how everything is so fucking tied to Kevin Long. Why is everything so tied to Kevin Long? And why? I'm not trying to denounce the fact that Kevin Long is probably a good person. And yes, would teams line up to hire Kevin Long? 100%. Yes, he's going to be a highly touted hitting coach across Major League Baseball. Sometimes you just need change. Because whatever philosophies that he is teaching this team, that he is trying to work with players here, it's not working in the playoffs. It's not working in the playoffs. So at some point, you need a change. And this is also the one thing that bothers me, right? So obviously, there's a lot of negative Philadelphia Phillies fans. There's a lot of realistic Philadelphia Phillies fans. There's a lot of very overly positive Philadelphia Phillies fans. And watching this press conference, I think you saw a lot of the negative Philadelphia Phillies fans come out of the side here because realistically, that press conference was fucking awful. That press conference was fucking terrible. It gave us nothing. It gave us more of the same. We knew that there wasn't going to be a lot of changes going into next year because obviously the coaching staff is going to be the same. They're probably going to be running this back. That's because this team realistically thinks that they're good enough to win a World Series. This team realistically thinks that they're good enough to win a World Series as constructed. When it hasn't been the case in the past 3 seasons, it hasn't been the case. But they think deep down that they're good enough. They think deep down that they can win a World Series if we keep attacking this. And Dave Dombrowski also brought up so many times about I think somebody even brought up like how many more chances do you really have with this core or something like that? And Dave Dombrowski the Atlanta Braves, they had their in the 90s and all that stuff. They had their core together for a very long time. They made the playoffs. They won so many National League East divisions and all that stuff, but they only ended up winning one World Series out of it. And they had some great starting rotations. They had players like Andrew Jones and Chipper Jones and all that stuff. They only ended up winning one World Series in that fact after so many long playoff runs. The Yankees, and all that stuff. They made the playoffs a lot in the past so many years, but they only ended up winning one World Series. He brings up so many facts about teams that go on long stretches of playoff runs and maybe don't even win a championship or win one championship. Yes, I understand that in baseball it's hard to win a championship, but with the roster that you have constructed and the way that this team has failed year after year, don't you think that there needs to be a little bit of a change with this team and not bringing back the same group of players year after year and expect different results? Yes, you're going to be a good regular season team. You're going to win at least 90 games. Yes, you're going to make the postseason most likely just because of how many postseason spots there are. Yes, you've won back-to-back National League East divisions. And granted, last year was on the fact of the Braves not being good and the Mets not being good either until they got good last year. And then for this season, it was on the Mets utterly fucking collapsing on themselves. And granted, yes, you did play good in the second half of the season. I'm not taking anything away from that, but it doesn't really tell me anything because when you get to the fucking postseason, it's the same fucking results. It is the same exact results year after year, regardless of what you do in the regular season, regardless of how many wins that you have in the regular season, of how you make the playoffs, whether it's the wild card, whether it's winning the division, having to play in the wild card series, having to play with the bye week and getting right to the NLDS, it's the same exact results year after year. It is failure. It is your offense failing to show up when it matters most, and your team, your core, not stepping up, not being able to win a World Series. It's the same results. We don't care. I don't care how good of a regular season that you have. And this is probably going to be a lot of the mindset of a lot of Phillies fans going into next year. It doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. Yes, you'll win 90-plus games. Yes, you'll be a playoff team, whether that's the wild card or winning the division. All that matters is what you do in October. And at the end of the day, if you don't make any drastic changes to this roster that can make us raise our eyebrows and think okay, there's a little bit of a difference going into this team for next season. No, if it's the same exact bullcrap that you shove down our throats year after year after year after year, it's going to turn it's basically Sixers territory at this point, right? Where, granted, now the Sixers, the past couple of years, have not been good. But when they're constantly making the playoffs, they're constantly getting eliminated in the second round, obviously. We all knew the Sixers were going to be good regular season teams. It's good, but not good enough. That's the thing. I'm not saying this Phillies team sucks. I'm not saying they're bad. They're a good baseball team. They're a good baseball team. They're not good enough. It's good, but not good enough. You're good enough to make the playoffs. You're not good enough to win a World Series. That's what you've been. Good, but not good enough. And if you keep trotting out the same, running it back year after year after year, it's going to be the same fucking result. It's going to be the same fucking result. You'll make the playoffs. You'll lose early in the playoffs. Maybe you'll make the NLCS if you get lucky enough. But you're not going to win a World Series. You're not going to win a World Series. It just isn't going to be the fact. You're not going to win a World Series. You're just not. You're just not. You're just not. And I don't think they realize that. I really don't think they realize that. Because they think deep down that this team is good enough. They think deep down that they're good enough to win a World Series. They really do. They don't think... Because why were so many Phillies fans very annoyed going into this past season? Because last offseason, because we knew that they had one of the worst hitting outfields in Major League Baseball in 2024. What was one of their biggest needs in the 2024/2025 offseason? They needed to fix the outfield. They couldn't go into a season with another platoon of Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas in center field. What did they do? They got Max Kepler for left field, and they ran into another year with Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas as the platoon in center field. So they didn't make any changes aside from Max Kepler. Joy. So basically, and it showed once again how they were one of the worst hitting outfields in Major League Baseball for a good chunk of the season. Until they got Harrison Bader, and he hit at a really unrealistic clip compared to what his career numbers are. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Harrison Bader, because he was fantastic for us. But was realistically anybody expecting Harrison Bader to be as good as he was, hitting-wise? No. No one was expecting that at all. No one was expecting that at all. He hit way above his pay grade. Way above. He's a fine player. He's a good player. He wasn't that good. And that's what made the offense from the outfield look a little bit more competent, because of how good he was. And yes, I won't take anything away from Brandon Marsh. Him, after his rehab assignment, came up after a rehab assignment and played really good baseball from that stretch. But then what did Brandon Marsh show in the playoffs? He was overmatched once again. He couldn't do much. That's what Brandon Marsh does. He was completely outmatched. Yeah, I'll give credit to Max Kepler for his back against the wall after the trade deadline, because there was a lot of talks about him possibly being DFA'd and cut and all that stuff. Yeah, he had a fine second half. Wasn't good enough overall sense, because he was so bad in the first half. And yeah, granted, he was one of the very few people that did stuff during the postseason. I think he had a hit in every game, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. But still, like, if you're running into a season with Brandon Marsh, Max Kepler, Johan Rojas, Nick Castellanos as the starting outfield, after 2024, where it was one of the worst hitting outfields in Major League Baseball, like, what are we fucking doing here? I just don't understand. I really do not understand. It doesn't make sense. Then someone brought up the idea about Bryce Harper potentially moving back to right field, because he said he's willing to move back to right field if, to allow the Phillies to go get another maybe productive Major League first baseman or something like that. Dave Dombrowski said that Bryce is the first baseman. They think he's a first baseman right now, and they're probably not going to make another move, so I don't know what the fuck they're going to do there. Dave Dombrowski, he said that move to the outfield if necessary, but felt like they would have had more of a short-term move if they acquired. So basically saying if they acquired the first baseman at the trade deadline, Bryce would have moved to the outfield. But they're not going to make a free agency signing that's going to force Bryce to move to the outfield. So you can expect Bryce Harper to be back at first base next year, which means that they probably wouldn't go after a guy like Pete Alonso to play first base or something like that and put Bryce into the outfield. So that probably won't be the case. There's a thing about Jose Alvarado's options for 2026. Talking about Andrew Painter, talking about fucking Otto Kemp, thinking that Otto Kemp has a chance to be an everyday player because he has thump in his bat and he could play different positions. He called him a tough player. Otto Kemp's not an everyday player. Otto Kemp's not an everyday player. He just isn't. Otto Kemp is not an every fucking day Major League player. He just isn't. Rob Thompson was the only, like I said, I didn't listen to Rob Thompson's press conference because I thought it wasn't going to add anything to it. The only thing noteworthy that Rob Thompson said was about the lineup, because he said that they're very left-handed heavy, and he says that they could use a right-handed bat, which obviously we've been saying that for fucking eons, that this team needs another right-handed power bat, and it's crazy. It's crazy. And here's a comment from Rob Thompson talking about why Phillies fans should believe in the Phillies after 4 straight October disappointments. We won 96 games this year, fought the Dodgers tooth and nail. That series could have gone either way. I'm bullish on this team. We're going to go out and try to make this team better. Here's another comment from Dave Dombrowski. Will Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies make more moves than they made last offseason? It's a little bit different in that there's some built-in situations for us that are going to have to be addressed. I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck that means. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know. This team is going to run it back again. They're going to run it back again. They are clearly going to run it back again. They're going to run it back again. They're going to run it back again. They just are. They just are. They just are going to run it back. I can't see anything else. They're going to try to bring back Kyle Schwarber. They're going to bring back JT Realmuto. They're not going to make any major changes to the app. The only major change though they will make is Nick Castellanos won't be. The only 2 players that I see being gone are Castellanos and Bohm. Those are the only 2 players that I see being moved. Are they going to make drastic changes to the bullpen? He did bring up fucking David Robertson, and that David Robertson doesn't want to start the season. Or he basically doesn't want to pitch a full season again out of a bullpen. He doesn't want to start a beginning of the season. So, whatever Dave Robertson is, it's going to be another late addition to some team that he does, most likely. I don't know. Whichever knows, I don't think Dave Robertson's going to be fucking back here next year. Are they going to pick up Alvarado's option? I have no fucking clue. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. But this franchise, they cause us so much pain. They do. They really just do. And I just don't think they realize what it takes to... And a lot of people like to point out, oh, you guys just want change for the sake of change. It's not fucking change for the sake of change. You can... You're saying that you can sit... Because I had people on Twitter trying to tell me this today. That, oh my God, you're not a baseball fan. You just want change for the sake of change. That, oh, you need to cherish this team more. That because this is one of the best 4-year stretches of this team in their entire existence, history of the franchise. Blah 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 blah. Like, oh, we had a fantastic regular season. We won 96 games. Kyle Schwarber did this. Blah blah blah. Starting rotation. Blah 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 blah. You're telling me that the past 4 years of how this team went out in the playoffs, I won't throw 4 years because I'll throw 2022 out of there because that was an unexpected run to the World Series. 23, 24, 25. You're trying to tell me that it's acceptable just to make the playoffs, and then if you win a World Series, that's just the icing on the cake. That we shouldn't be pissed off about how this team went out in the playoffs year after year. How the offense constantly fails them year after year. How they fail to hit in the playoffs year after year after year. Are you serious? You're saying that, oh, if your expectations are just to win the World Series, then I gotta question you as a fan, because that shouldn't just be the expectation. Because, of course, if your expectation is to just win the World Series, of course you're going to be miserable. That's not the fucking point. That's not the fucking point. If the team goes out there and physically says that we're building this team to win the World Series, we expect to win the World Series, we want to compete for the World Series, we want to make the World Series, and we want to win the World Series. When your fucking owner says, I will do anything possible to get my fucking trophy back, am I not supposed to hold them to those expectations? Am I supposed to, when they get into the playoffs, like, congrats Phillies, whatever happens, happens, I don't care. I'm just glad that you made the playoffs. I'm just glad that you made the playoffs because this city, this franchise hasn't been as cherished enough when they make their playoff runs. They haven't had this many opportunities. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity when a team like this, a franchise like this that's lost so much in their history, that has rarely had winning seasons, when they make the playoffs, it's an accomplishment. It's a great thing. We should just fucking enjoy it. And if they win the World Series, it's an icing on the cake. And if they happen to lose in the playoffs, it's, good job, guys. Good try. Good try, because we rarely get here. I'm just going to enjoy it and blah, 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 blah. Pat on the back. Good job, Phillies. You'll get them next year. You'll get them next year. Not minding the fact that your roster and your core is getting older every single year, and the window is drastically shutting very quickly on this team. That's how I'm supposed to react. I'm supposed to basically pat them on the back. Good job, little Bobby. Good job, little Bobby. You struck out 4 times in this game, but, go get them. Go get them. Go get them next time. Really? Really? That's how I'm supposed to act. That's how I'm supposed to act when they don't win a World Series, when they put the expectations on themselves to win a World Series. I'm supposed to act like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they didn't win a World Series. They made the playoffs. They made the playoffs. We should be accepted of that. We should be happy of that because we rarely get this with this franchise. Bull fucking shit. Get out of here. Get that shit out of my face. They put the expectations on themselves. Sorry. If they put the expectations on themselves, I can't be at fault to have those expectations of winning a World Series. You put those expectations on yourself. I can't, because that is such a loser mentality that, you just got to cherish getting to the playoffs because this franchise rarely does that. This is one of the best 4-year stretches in the franchise history. Yeah, I'm not denying that this is because this franchise, history-wise, is a loser franchise. They don't win much. They don't make the playoffs much. And yes, this is definitely one of the best stretches in franchise history in terms of just making the playoffs. But you also know what it could also go down is wasted fucking potential. Wasted fucking potential. What a waste. Because you had such great talent that you couldn't win a World Series with this group. It's a waste. It's a waste. A waste of potential. A waste of potential. A wasted era. Because you had Bryce Harper in his prime. You had Kyle Schwarber doing Kyle Schwarber things. You had JT in his prime. You had some of the best starting rotations in baseball. You don't win a World Series with that stuff. It's a waste of time. It's wasted. An era wasted. An era. It'll go down as one of the best eras in Phillies baseball, but also one of the most disappointing. Also one of the most disappointing. Because they didn't win a World Series. Do I expect this team to win a World Series next year? Fuck no. Fuck no. It's going to be the same results year after year. They'll be a good regular season team. They're not going to do anything in the playoffs. Why should I see it any differently? Because they've been doing it the past so many years. They're not going to make enough changes that are going to be worthy enough to say, yeah, that's a different team. Yeah, that's a team that's capable of winning a World Series. That's a team that's capable of going deep into the playoffs. Oh, the changes that you want, they're unrealistic. You want a superstar at every position. No, that's not what I want. I don't want a fucking superstar at every position. I don't want to go into a season where you clearly needed changes in the outfield to not have one of the worst hitting outfields in Major League Baseball. Not go into a fucking season with a platoon of Brandon Marsh and Johan Rojas and Brandon Marsh. Not have a platoon of that. Don't go out and sign Max Kepler. Go out and sign a legitimate left fielder or trade for a legitimate left fielder. Don't bring in Jordan Romano for the bullpen. Don't do that. Yeah, I understand you traded for Duran, which is going to be your closer for the next so many years, and you brought in Harrison Bader. Yes, I understand Harrison Bader made the outfield better, but he hit at such an unrealistic clip compared to his career numbers that it's not sustainable for the rest of his career unless he just completely changed as a player. That's not fucking realistic. Yeah, I understand Brandon Marsh had a better second half of the season. He was clearly outmatched in the playoffs once again. Your outfield's not good enough. Your team's not good enough. Your team with Alec Boehm as a cleanup hitter is not good enough. You need a legitimate cleanup hitter. A guy that can protect Bryce Harper. A guy that, if you bring back Kyle Schwarber, a guy that protects Kyle Schwarber. You need a legit cleanup hitter. Alec Boehm's not a fucking cleanup hitter. He just isn't. Now, yes, you could say that, what are you going to do if you don't bring back JT? Well, I don't know. Figure it out. That's not my decision. That's not my decision to make. That's not my job. Dave Dombrowski is paid to make those decisions. And I think he's too delusional enough to realize that the team needs change. that the past 3 years, they're not good enough. They're not good enough. I don't understand why they don't realize that. Why they're not good enough. Yeah, your starting rotation is good enough. That's not what I'm talking about. It's your fucking lineup. And your bullpen, honestly. Your lineup and your bullpen ain't good enough. Your lineup as constructed isn't good enough. Your stars can't get the job done, and the depth in the lineup is overmatched. Completely overmatched. Brandon Marsh, overmatched. Bryson Stott, overmatched. Who else? Who else in the depth of the lineup? Nick Castellanos ain't going to be here next year. We all know that. Is Alec Boehm going to be here next year? I have no fucking clue. But what I already know is Kyle Schwarber, for as fantastic as the season he had, he's part of the issue. Bryce Harper, not good enough. Trey Turner, not good enough. JT was the only guy that showed up in the playoffs this year, but still not good enough. It's not good enough. It just isn't. Harrison Bader was injured. That shouldn't be an excuse. So yeah, we didn't get to see what Harrison Bader was able to do. It's not an excuse. This team isn't good enough. This team isn't good enough. They just aren't. And I don't understand why there's just so many people that are just so overly positive. Overly positive. And people are like constantly, because I put a tweet out that's obviously very, very badly worded. I probably should have said this is facetious, that this is obviously me being overdramatic, because I said that 75% of Phillies fans didn't enjoy watching the team this season. Obviously, that's fucking facetious. Obviously, I don't mean that 75% of Phillies fans didn't enjoy watching the team. It's also Twitter, and you really can't understand if people are being sarcastic or not, or being facetious or not, because they'll just take your word for fact. No, I don't mean 75% of Phillies fans didn't enjoy the season. Obviously, I didn't, but it's the principle that a lot of Phillies fans in the back of their mind knew what the outcome was going to be at the end of the day in the playoffs. They knew this team was going to fail once again. And a lot of people want to see change with this team, because this team is not built to win a World Series. They're built to win 90-plus games in the regular season. They're not built to win a World Series as constructed, hitting-wise. Pitching-wise, yes, they are. I'm not denying that their rotation is one of the best in baseball. I've never denied that, because the rotation is one of the best in baseball. Now, granted, we're not going to know what happens with Zach Wheeler next season. We don't know what type of pitcher Zach Wheeler is going to be next season. Dave Dombrowski did provide an update on Zach Wheeler that they're saying, everything's going fine with him. He's going to be starting his rehab very soon and his workouts very soon. And I guess in terms of a timetable of when he would return, that would be at some point at the end of May, maybe between April and May, or sometime between spring training and the end of May is when he could return. We don't know what Zach Wheeler's going to be next year. But yeah, Christopher Sanchez, very good. Awesome season. Cy Young caliber. Jesus Luzardo had some bumps in the road, but he proved that he can pitch really well in October. Ranger Suarez, I have no idea if they're going to bring him back. They might not because of a Scott Boras client. But Ranger Suarez was very good. What else? Aaron Nola had a bumpy season. Definitely not Aaron Nola's standards. He pitched well when he needed to in the playoffs. Granted, it was only 2 innings. I expect Nola to be better next year. What is Andrew Painter going to slot into the rotation? What do I expect from fucking Andrew Painter? I have no idea. I'm not denying that the rotation is really good. Everything else is not good enough. Good but not good enough. That's what this team is. Good but not good enough. And that shouldn't be acceptable. I don't know why so many people are so positive on this fact. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. Crazy how many people are so just quick to defend this team. Like, how is this acceptable? Because I got people still in my comment section right now, and the majority of the people that have been talking in this comment right here have been on the positive side. There's one person that talked negatively on my side, saying that, brother, They went out sad in 23, 24, and 25. This is not enjoyable when they are going to pull a 76ers and choke go cold when the time matters. And then the positive people come back in saying, brother, this isn't basketball. They lost to the Dodgers. The number 1 seed is getting embarrassed by them at home right now. You're judging an entire season on the postseason, which can't be how it is in baseball. The season can be disappointing and enjoyable all at once. I'm sorry. It's hard for me. Now, granted, yes, did I have some enjoyable moments this regular season? Of course. Of course. Did I hate on this team a lot during the season? Of course. Of course. I hated on them a lot in the first half of the season because I thought they weren't good enough, and it was more of the same. Then I started putting myself into a position to buy into this team after what they were doing in that second half after the trade deadline. I put myself into a position of getting hurt again. But I also knew, deep in the back of my mind, that they're probably going to go cold again when the time matters. They're probably going to lose when the time and the iron gets hot. I just don't understand why people don't realize that. Oh, you can't go an entire season dreading what might happen in the postseason. No, I go an entire season dreading what's most likely going to happen because I know this team isn't good enough because they've proven to me that they're not good enough. If you don't make changes, it's just going to be the same fucking result. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's what this team has been operating as the past so many seasons. They are the definition of insanity. They just are. Now, we do have a voicemail here on the Anytime Hotline. We do. I might as well get to that because we have been going long on this stream. Wasn't expecting it to go around 50 minutes, but there's just so much stuff to talk about with this Phillies team that just annoys me. So, let's see. We got Ray. It's a short call. Let's see what Ray has to say.
Yeah, Amadeo, I think the Phillies basically build a roster to put fans in the seats. That seems to be the business model, and whether they win a championship or not, that's just beyond the point. So they're just looking to fill a business model and make it efficient and make a lot of money. Okay.
Yeah, I firmly agree. I do think that's also part of the thing. We've heard John Middleton talk about so many times during the regular season about how he's scared to trade away prospects. He's scared to do X, Y, and Z because he's worried about 5 years, 10 years down the line of putting a major league caliber roster on the field and keeping fans in the seats. Obviously, I do think that's a lot of what goes into their decision-making is John Middleton's fears. John Middleton's fears about how empty Citizens Bank Park was from 2013 through like 2018, 2019, or like 2017 when the team was very bad. Of course, there's so many decision makings that goes through that point where I think it goes through John Middleton's fears, how he just doesn't want the ballpark to be empty, and I think a lot of that has to do with it too. A lot of blame also has to go into John Middleton. I think Dave Dombrowski even mentioned about the payroll going into next season that it's going to be around the same where it is now. He doesn't expect them to be like a $400 million payroll type of team or something like that. I have no fucking clue. But yeah, John Middleton 100% deserves blame for part of this as well. Like, yeah, John Middleton spends. He doesn't spend enough. He's afraid to spend to a certain extent. He is. He's afraid to spend to a certain extent. He's not going to spend like a Steve Cohen. He's not going to spend like the Dodgers. He just isn't going to do that because he's afraid. He's afraid to trade away prospects. He's afraid of 5-10 years down the line of having a major league roster on the field. But if you're going to clamor and hammer so much for wanting your damn trophy back and that you're going to get your damn trophy back by any means necessary, you're not living up to that sentence, man. You're just not. You're not living up to that statement. You put a lot of those expectations on yourself, and you're not living up to that fucking shit. He just isn't doing it. He just isn't doing it. All he cares about is fans in the stands and making money and season ticket sales and all that stuff. It's crazy. It is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. It's insane, boys. Definition of insanity. The definition of insanity, that's what this team is. It's what this franchise is. It's how they operate. It's how they operate. So, we do have some chats right here. We do have a lot of guys in the comment section. For some reason, it's still not popping up on my OBS. I probably have to update it. I just forgot to do. Or I just got to change some things, but I can see you guys are over here on the other monitor. So Tyler, Dave should have just said that's a Bryce Harper question. Franco, that was atrocious. Why is Kevin Long still on the team? I would have fired his ass during that press conference. Might as well run the entire lineup back at this point. Yeah. American loyalist, this core will not win a World Series. What are your key free agents that the Phillies should sign to help the team? I don't. That's not my job. That is not my job. Obviously, they need help in a lot of places. They need help in a lot of places. And that's where those people like, oh, like what changes will you make and all that stuff, and like if you don't have an answer for that, like, see, like you don't know what you're talking about, blah blah blah. No, because that's not my job. That's Dave Dombrowski's job. But like if you say if you didn't want to bring back, if you couldn't bring back JT Realmuto next season, and say, I know he's not technically a free agent this year, but say if the Brewers do fall to the Dodgers, they do fall to the Dodgers, and William Contreras does end up into a free agent, which I don't think he's going to because he has a club option which he cannot deny, and the club option is for $12 million, and Spot Track says his market value is $15 million. So I would assume the Milwaukee Brewers take up that option and do that, unless for some reason they just completely don't, which I would think it's very stupid by the Milwaukee Brewers if they don't do that. But say if William Contreras hit the open market, he would be the guy that I'd go after and not bring back JT Realmuto, because I think William Contreras would be good for this lineup just because he's a pure hitter. That would be a move that I would make if he were to hit the market. But obviously, like if you're looking at the catcher position, there's not many catchers available in the free agent market. I don't know what catchers are available in the trade market because not much comes out for the trade market. So yeah, obviously, you're stuck with bringing back JT Realmuto if that's the case. So, and granted, I wouldn't mind bringing back JT, but because that's your only option left. But still, obviously, Alex Bregman is on the market. Are they going to be willing to pay Alex Bregman that much money? I have no idea. I don't think they're going to bring in Pete Alonso. I don't think they're going to go after Cody Bellinger. Trevor Story has an opt-out. Like, in terms of position players, in terms of, like, infielders, third baseman, and all that stuff, Bregman, Alonso. It says Bellinger's also listed as an infielder, but he's mainly an outfielder, I guess, because he can play first base if you need to. Gleyber Torres is a free agent. Ha-Seong Kim has a player option for the Braves, apparently. Josh Naylor will be a UFA. Luis Arraez is a UFA. Bo Bichette's also going to be a free agent coming after this season. Eugenio Suarez is a free agent, even though I don't see them going after him just because of how old he is. Josh Bell's a free agent, even though I don't see them going after a Josh Bell type of player. Who else? That would be like interesting. I really don't see much. Jose Iglesias would be a nice bench bat to get, like a nice like depth player, I guess you can say. No, there's really not much of an infielder free agent wise, outfielder free agent wise. Obviously, Cody Bellinger's going to be there. Kyle Schwarber's going to be there. Kyle Tucker's going to be a big free agent this offseason, most likely. Josh Naylor, obviously, for some reason, he's also listed as an outfielder. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has a player option with the Diamondbacks that I don't even know if he's going to pick up. Who else? Lane Thomas is a free agent. Luis Robert has that club option, which the White Sox would be stupid not to pick up. Bader obviously has a mutual option, which I don't think he's going to pick it up, and he's probably going to go free agency-wise. Trent Grisham is a UFA, which I would assume the Yankees bring back. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Ryan O'Hearn, who was traded to the Padres, he's a UFA. I think Ramon Laureano has a club option, which can also turn into a free agency thing type of there. Yeah, there's a lot of things. We don't know. We don't know. It's crazy. The middle finger to Phillies fans, basically. That's what it feels like. Kyle is gone. I don't know. They brought back Kevin Long, which is apparently a major factor in the bringing back Kyle Schwarber. What was said in the Dombrowski-Middleton discussion? I have no idea. Hopefully Nick and Bohm get traded. Yeah, those are the only two that I can think get traded. Those are the only two. I think those are the only two players that are going off the roster. That's what I think. Obviously, you're not trading away any of your big contracts, even though Ruben Amaro did say the other day on the WIP morning show that he would think the Phillies would try to move one of their big contracts. And if you're thinking about that, yeah, Nick Castellanos is a big he made it sound like a shocking move, like try to trade their one of their big time contracts. No, yeah, Nick Castellanos is a big time contract, but that's not a shocking move. We've been expecting Nick Castellanos to get traded for the past so many seasons. I don't think Aaron Nola would be that shocking trade. I don't think they will trade from the starting rotation. Obviously, you're not going to trade Bryce Harper because he has the no movement clause. The only person that makes sense off that statement is Trey Turner. And do I see them trading Trey Turner? I have no idea. I really have no idea. On base percentage and running scoring position are the issues. Why were no AAA guys brought up in September then? Kevin Long does not know how to teach situational hitting. Dave, bottom of the order in the bullpen. Missing the playoffs would have been better for us this year. They're never going to miss the playoffs with the way that the format is set up. Sprint instead of run it back, it's called sprint it back. It's hilarious that David suffered the same mistake with the Tigers in the 2010s. Crazy. Crazy. The Phillies are turning into the Cowboys. Am I crazy for saying that? I stopped watching midseason because I knew this wasn't it. I mean, it's not wrong to bring up. Definitely isn't wrong to bring up. Definitely is not wrong to bring up. Here's a thread from Dan Wilson of WIP. My biggest takeaway from today's press conference, as Dave Dombrowski has said before, is that regular season results just get weighed a whole lot more than postseason results do when it comes to off-season decision-making. Games in October obviously mean the most, but it's just viewed as a lot more random than the successful 96-win season they just had. Dombrowski referenced the Yankees, who have made the playoffs 13 of the last 17 seasons and have one championship to show for it. He also mentioned the Braves, who made the playoffs every year from 91 to 2005 and similarly had one title by the end. Fact of the matter is, they'll take their odds replicating success over 162 and hope it materializes into being the last team standing of one of these years. I mean, that's probably what the way their philosophy is. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. This team is annoying, man. They just are. Crazy, 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 crazy. Well, that'll do it for today, everybody. It will. I'll be back later tonight to recap Flyers versus Winnipeg Jets. So you'll definitely be able to see that later on tonight when I get home from the game. So at least hopefully we'll have something more enjoyable to talk about, which is Flyers hockey early in the season. See if they can get another win under their belts. And yeah, that should hopefully be a good time. But yeah, Phillies, they're just annoying. Just really annoying. I really want the 2030s to be the golden age of Philadelphia sports. I want every fucking decade to be the golden age of Philadelphia sports, Mr. Donut. I just don't know when that's ever going to happen. I just don't know when that's going to happen. You thought with the Eagles that it was going to be the golden age for them for these next few years of this window after winning the Super Bowl last year and the way they just found ways to win. And that clearly isn't the case right now. So, who knows? Who knows? But appreciate you guys for tuning in this afternoon. Definitely was a longer stream than I anticipated. I didn't expect to go in near an hour. But that's what this Phillies team does. So, thanks, guys, for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service with the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget to use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deals on Pass It Up. And, yeah. Annoying. This team, man. I will have another video on the Phillies eventually in the near future. I am planning on doing something with somebody for that. But that'll be it. That'll be a next week type of thing, like maybe in the beginning of the week. We just have to schedule it out according to schedule-wise. But there'll be something next week for the Phillies as well. So most likely the rest of this week will be Flyers-based and Eagles-based on Sunday. And then next week we'll also have another Phillies video combined with everything else. So appreciate you boys for tuning in tonight or today. I'll see you later tonight for Flyers. And yeah,